somewhere, I hope, is my missing box. In preparations for the renovations in this building and in the parish house, the church staff and many of you helped pack things up. We had signs on doors and closets where things would be stored and safe for the months ahead. Dishes and glasses from the kitchen were moved to the former social room. Kitchen stuff was moved across the street for fellowship time in Monday mess hall. We put chairs and tables down in the basement of the chapel. In the office, we packed up our pictures, our plaques, our brochures, our books, and we had to figure out what we would need to have easy access to and what could wait for the months during the renovations. And I thought we had done really well. Yet as we moved back into the buildings, there were things we just couldn't find. And we would search and search and search. And somehow things had migrated from where they were supposed to be stored to other places. And then Kim and I would finally find them, and we'd start to laugh because we'd say, oh yeah, that's where we stored it. Or, my goodness, how did that get over there? I'm still searching for one lost box. It has some of my favorite stoles. My stole that has the children of the world on it, my rainbow stole, my puzzle piece stole, and some others. I have looked everywhere, in every closet, every place in either side of the street. I've checked all over my garage for this box. I've blamed my husband more than many times for organizing and not telling me where he's put things. In July, after 2 years of being lost, I found another box that I had completely forgotten about. It had some family photos and some artwork in there that used to be on the walls in my office, but I'm still missing that box of stoles. And I hope that it's going to show up someday in some random location, and I'm going to have a big party when I find it. So who among us doesn't search high and low, of course, for your lost car keys, especially when you know it costs $250 to replace the remote? You're opening drawers, you're checking under the tables and chairs to find those keys. Even though you probably have a box or basket or a place where they're supposed to go when you come in the house. Somehow they disappear and migrate around your abode. Or how about the remote control for the TV? Why is it that always seems to disappear? And then you stick your hand down behind the pillows and the cushions and you're looking for that remote control, and your hand passes over crumbs and candy wrappers and something sticky that's unidentifiable, all because you want to find the remote control. So Jesus uses these two images of everyday life. The image of a woman who searches and searches for one lost coin, and a shepherd who looks and searches for one lost sheep. Because Jesus wants us to think of every example of something being lost and us finding it as an example of God's love. And just as we rejoice when we find what has been lost, so it is that God rejoices when someone finds their way once again. Jesus is looking at the people with compassion because Jesus knows that the people, that we wander, that we get ourselves lost, that we find ourselves in places that we didn't imagine, that we find ourselves going down dark alleys, that we find ourselves isolating ourselves and hiding. And Jesus knows that. And Jesus tells these stories to say God so loves us that God is willing to keep reaching out and searching after us over and over and over again so that we can find that path to light and new life. God knows that we are people who find ourselves lost and alone, wandering away from the people who love us, hiding where no one may find us. And God searches high and low for those who are lost, for those who have lost their hope or meaning or purpose and direction. And once found, it's party time. Jesus' parables of the lost sheep and the lost coin both end with a party, bringing together family and friends, the whole community coming together for a celebration. I'm imagining what some of these parties are like in the Bahamas in the wake of Hurricane Dorian, when someone who searched and gave up hope found out that their loved one was still alive. It wasn't just a time of rejoicing for that one family. It was a community celebration, and indeed many of us are watching. It becomes an international celebration when we know that there was yet another life saved. I think about what happens in the 12-step groups such as Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous when a person comes upon the anniversary of their sobriety. It isn't just that one person says, I'm celebrating that I'm sober for 1 year or 5 years or 25 years. It's the whole community. That whole group that is meeting at that time celebrates with the person. It's a powerful recognition of the hard work and the determination that is required when someone is challenged with addiction. And it's a reminder that they're not lost or alone on the journey, that there is this community of support of people they can reach out to when they find themselves wondering and wandering and tempted. It's the embodiment, these groups call, of the higher power, of God giving strength to the one taking it hour by hour, day by day, and God embodied in the community of care and support. This is Opioid Awareness Month, as many of you know. We're asked to wear purple on Fridays. County buildings are being lit up in purple. There's ads on the buses that we see, the newspaper. There's various events asking us to think about and to pray about and to reflect about and to do something for those who are finding themselves lost to addiction, to fentanyl, to heroin. When I think about how this has affected everyone I know, everybody has a family member or a friend or a neighbor or someone they know that has succumbed to an overdose. Where are we as a community in offering care and support to these folks who are lost? Are we paying attention to their cries for help? Do we find ourselves wanting them to go away? Do we find ourselves making a judgment saying, well, they're just weak, and if they were stronger, they wouldn't be addicted? Do we wish we didn't have purple all over the place to remind us because it's just too painful? We wish it would go away because it makes us feel uncomfortable. Who among us hasn't had that feeling of being lost? Who among us hasn't had the feeling that there is something that is out of our control and we need someone to help us on that journey? How many among us are willing to give a person a chance over and over and over again to find new life and to find a way that they can challenge that addiction? How many of us in the community are willing to keep on the journey with that person even when they succumb once again to the temptation of the drug? How many of us are willing to even talk about it? I'm a chaplain for the junior fire company, as you know, and I get the calls from the fire company, and there is not one night that doesn't go by that there isn't a call about an overdose. There was one just last night, Delaney and Dill Avenue, half a block from my home. It's here, friends. These are our neighbors. These are our family members. These are our friends. And what is our call as a community to reach out to these folks who are wandering and lost? Are we willing to put the resources in so that there are programs and opportunities for people to find new life? And are we willing to take the risk that, yes, it may take a few times before they find that path, but are we willing to try? Jesus asks a really strange question, like, who among you, if you had 100 sheep and one goes missing, wouldn't go look for the one sheep? It's an absurd question in some ways. Why would you risk the 99 sheep to go after the one? But that's exactly what Jesus is talking about. That we need to look for that one, so that that one knows that he or she or they count. That's our call as a community. We're called to model the seeking and the work of the shepherd and the woman, to not give up in the search for those who are lost, to see those who are missing, those who are reaching out and calling out for us. And I have to ask ourselves the question too, so what happens when our search does not end with the lost being found? What happens when the storm takes away your family and friends, never to be found? What happens when the addiction leads to an overdose and death? Then what? There's no party then. But that's when we're in our times of grief and despair, the community comes to us once again. That the community seeks out those who are struggling with that despair and embraces them and surrounds them with comfort and compassion and hope. We don't run away from them because we're embarrassed and we don't know what to say. If we don't have the words, and sometimes the words are not helpful anyway, we are still called to be with our friends on the journey in their tears, when their cries turn into screams of frustration and anger. We are called to be like that shepherd and that woman, to keep searching, and then to be like God and stay on the journey with them. Jesus reminds us that the community is called to travel with one another, whether it's in the wilderness or whether it's party time. And God knows we need it, and our world needs it. Thanks be to God. Amen.